Today we're going to talk about dyslexia and people who have dyslexia and how to deal with this condition on a day-to-day basis. Dyslexia is a condition that affects your ability to read, write, and do mathematics. And by mathematics, I mean, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing numbers, not necessarily the high-end mathematics. And it is classified as a learning disability, which I think is entirely incorrect. Dyslexia is not a learning disability by any stretch of imagination. It doesn't prevent you from learning. It doesn't make it more difficult for you or your child to learn. And by the way, the audience for this video is, I'm hoping, is people with dyslexia or parents who have children who have dyslexia. And hopefully this video will help you. And as a personal background, one of the reasons why you should listen to me, if you're wondering, is because I am a relatively successful attorney and investor who reads tremendous amounts of information every single day. And I read about 20 to 30 books per year. And I do have dyslexia, and I'm perfectly happy, and I'm living with it. So hopefully I'll be able to show you how to do the same. So dyslexia, even though it's classified as a learning disability, is nothing of the kind. It's more of inability to do those very specific tasks of reading, properly spelling words, and adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing numbers. And when children in school are discovered that they have dyslexia, we spend tremendous amounts of efforts and time torturing these children into trying to learn something that they will essentially never learn. It's akin to basically asking somebody who has been blind from birth to learn how to see. Now, I understand the idea of trying to teach a blind person how to navigate the hallways by, for instance, there is this fascinating fellow who learned how to navigate hallways by clicking his tongue and then listening to reverberations from the walls. But that's not what we're doing. For dyslexic people, what we're doing is we're literally just dumbly forcing them to learn how to read. Something that they're not going to do. Just like that blind person, though they will be able to navigate hallways and will be very good at it, they will never see until we have the technology that will allow us to replace their eyes with cameras or sophisticated equipment. So similarly for dyslexics, if you have a sufficiently advanced version of dyslexia, you will not really learn how to spell things properly. It's just not going to happen. And with mathematics, the same thing. You're not going to be able to do multiplication tables, for instance, very quickly. And that's okay. Because all of that stuff goes by the wayside when you get to college, to university, to grad school afterwards. Because guess what? You don't need to be able to multiply 15 by 25 or whatever in order to do high-end math, in order to do college-level math, in order to do postgraduate level math. I study machine learning, and machine learning involves a tremendous amounts of calculus and linear mathematics, which is taking vertices and multiplying, dividing them, and so on and so forth. And guess what? None of that requires for me to know how to multiply, divide numbers. I mean, I know that, but I have a calculator for that reason. And the higher end, the more abstract, the more of 16,000 feet above the ground view of mathematics. That's the far more complex part of mathematics, and dyslexic people can do that just as well as anybody else. So if you do have dyslexia, for instance, and you do have a little bit of a passion, or you think you might have a passion for mathematics, go for it. Don't worry about the fact that you did poorly in math in 4th grade or 5th grade. Screw that. Go for it anyway. You will do great. Similarly, if your child has dyslexia and they're trying to teach your child how to read by making them make clay figurines of letters and stuff, that's a waste of your child's time. Take them out, take them to the park, let them play instead. That is a waste of their time and their ability. They will not learn how to read that way. They will not learn how to spell that way any better. I did that. I tried it. I've seen many, many people fail doing that. It's not going to work. Similarly, it's not going to, forcing them to memorize a multiplication table is not going to make them any better at math. Instead, what you have to do is you have to look at it as a problem that you could sidestep. And the way I sidestep that problem is for mathematics, like I said, you get a calculator and you're covered there. That's not a problem. For things like spelling, obviously spell checking is very important, and there is spell checking in almost every single word processor now available. In Mac operating system, which I prefer because it has a lot better support for dyslexic people than Windows. In Mac operating system, there is a universal spell checker that will literally spell check everything you write in every single program. So as long as you can enter text, it will be able to spell check it for you, and it will highlight words that are misspelled. And for dyslexic people, the biggest problem with spelling is really homonyms. That's like words that sound the same but have different spelling, different means. So like then and then, like greater than rather than then that's different time. So I went here and then I went there. So then and then are spelled with an E or an A, but to me and to many dyslexics, they sound identical. And as a result, we have a tendency to misspell those words. So there's one trick, and that's to do search and replace for all the thens and put in parentheses time, and do search and replace in Word for all the THANs, and do greater than or less than sign. So that way when you proofreading your paper, if it's important enough, you can see that you used the wrong word or the wrong tense or the wrong version of that word that sounds identical. It's also, if you can find a friend who doesn't have dyslexia to proofread your papers, that's the way to deal with it. That's the way I dealt with it in college and in high school. And nowadays, you also can just pay a few bucks to somebody on Fiverr, for instance, to spell check your papers, and they do a pretty good job. So that's a way to just go around the problem of dyslexia rather than trying to bash your head against the wall. For reading, and reading is probably the biggest problem for most dyslexics, the simplest solution is to listen to all the text you need to read. I read a tremendous amounts of information per day. And the way I do so is by simply highlighting the text on my computer and selecting a function that will just read it to me at a very fast pace, about 350 words per minute to 400 words a minute. And what actually that allows me to do is I can do multiple things. I can select some text, select an article, for instance, a scientific article, have it start reading to me, and then I can switch and start looking for instance, photographs for my presentation or for something else. And I can process the information in my head while I'm concentrating on something on my screen that's, not written material, but something visual, for instance. And that's, I think, a very, very good way to go around the problem instead of, again, bashing your head into the problem. So if you do have a child that has dyslexia, I think these types of strategies would work a lot better for them than wasting their time trying to defeat this problem that they won't be able to really defeat. So now I'm going to talk about some of the options that you have for Mac, for Windows, and for iOS in terms of screen readers or programs that allow you to read text highlighted on the screen. Unfortunately for Android, and I know Android is a very popular operating system for a lot of you, probably have Android phones. Unfortunately for Android, I couldn't find any program at the moment that allows you to do the same thing. There is a text-to-speech engine in Android, so Android can read text to you, but you also need the functionality of being able to highlight the text and say, read this text to me. And that functionality is absent in Android, and though there are third-party programs that worked or used to work, now they don't work because they were written for Android 4.0 and 4.2, and unless you have an extremely old phone, it's just the programs haven't been updated to be compatible with the new version of Android. But fortunately for Windows, for Mac and for iOS, there are programs that work, and for Linux there are also programs, but I don't have a Linux machine at the moment, so I won't be able to show you those. But let's take a look at Mac first. Okay, and here we are on my MacBook Pro, and we're going to see how to set up text-to-speech. So to set up text-to-speech, you need to open System Preferences, which you can find by searching for it on Spotlight. And then look for the Dictation and Speech panel. In here, select Text-to-Speech. And in System Voices, you want to select Samantha, because Samantha is what's shipped with iOS devices by default. So to select Samantha, you can click on this list, and if she's not listed, you can click Customize, and then click the checkbox next to Samantha, and then hit OK. And then afterwards, all you have to do is select your speaking rate. If you're just starting out, if you're not used to text-to-speech, I would say move it to about 75%. That's a good starting point. And then once you get better and better, you can push it all the way out. And then you also need to select your option or your hotkey. So you would click here, and then you would click the change key, and then select the hotkey that you want to use to activate and deactivate speech. I like option / because it's right next to the trackpad. Okay, so that's it. We're done. So let's test it out. Here's an article that I found on Wikipedia, and we can select some text, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the hotkey.
Science Fiction Plus was an American science fiction magazine published by Hugo Gernsback for 7 issues in 1953. In 1926, Gernsback had launched Amazing Stories, the first science fiction magazine, but he had
Okay, here, I'll stop it right there. And so I started the speech, and I stopped the speech by using that hotkey that I set up. And that's it. And this works in any program where you can select text. If you can select text, you can hit that hotkey, and the computer will start reading that text to you. So that's how simple it is on macOS. Now let's take a look at iOS. With iOS, it's actually pretty simple as well. All you do is go to Settings, so find Settings on your phone. Then you go to General, and then you go to Accessibility is right here, and you select Speech, and then activate Speak Selection option. For voices, you don't have to worry about that unless you need something other than English, in which case click there. And then for speaking rate, starting right here in the middle is pretty good because it's a little faster than the Mac engine for some reason. And then this highlight words feature, it doesn't really work in all the apps, but it doesn't hurt anything, so you can turn it on if you want to. Okay, so once you're done there, you're pretty much done. All you have to do is go to Safari, and here I have the same article opened up, and let's test it out. So let's select the same text, and you just do the standard macOS way of, or rather iOS way of selecting text. And when you selected text, now you have this menu option pop up in addition to all the other menu options that says Speak. And when you hit Speak,
Science Fiction Plus was an American science fiction magazine published by Hugo Gernsback for 7 issues in 1953. In 1926,
Okay, I'll pause it right there. So you get the point. And this likewise works in almost any program where you can select text. If you can press and hold and select some text, it will allow you to speak it to you or to read it for you. So that's how you set up text-to-speech on macOS and iOS. So now we're going to try to set up the same thing on Windows. Unfortunately, on Windows, even though the actual text-to-speech engine is built into the operating system, the functionality to select text and have that text-to-speech engine read it to you was not built into the operating system. So you have to use a third-party program. And I tried many different third-party programs over the years, and the only one that still works to date in Windows 10 is TexttoSpeech. It's a commercial product. I think it's about $20 or so, and you can try it for free on their website. I'll link it down below. But once you have the program installed, once you have TexttoSpeech installed on your Windows computer, what you want to do is set up clipboard monitoring. What that would do is when you select some text and you copy it to the clipboard, the program will notice that and it will read the text from the clipboard. So to do that, you would hit the Tools menu and you would find the clipboard and mouse speaking options. And in there, you would want to activate the clipboard, watch clipboard option. and set it so it ignores any copied text that's less than 10 characters long. That's just so it doesn't read things the really short things that you copy and paste. And then you want to activate this other function right here that will ignore text that has been copied to the clipboard over and over again. So if you copy the same text twice to the clipboard, it only will read it once. And then over here in the default action, you want to select speak text and then uncheck all the other options because you don't need those options. And that's it. So hit OK, and then you'll be fine. The only other thing you need to set up is go to the hotkeys, setup right here in the tools menu, and add a hotkey that will stop and pause and resume the reading. So that way you can pause and resume and stop the reading. So to do that, you hit new hotkey, you select the action that you want, in this case, let's say stop, and then you just assign a hotkey to it, and then that hotkey will be assigned to that function. Once you have it set up like that, you can adjust your, in this panel right here, you can adjust your speed, your pitch, and your system volume. You can just crank that up to the max because they'll still be controlled with your regular system volume. And then for your voices, you can select voices right here, and I like Microsoft David because it seems to work pretty well and it's reasonably understandable. So once you're done here, let's test it out in a web browser. So here I have the same article opened up from Wikipedia, and I'm going to select some text, and I'm going to copy it to the clipboard.
Science Fiction Plus was an American science fiction magazine published by Hugo Gernsback for 7 issues in 1953. In 1926, Gernsback had launched Amazing Stories, the first science fiction magazine.
Okay, there. So I copied the text to the clipboard, and the program started reading it to me, and then I hit that stop hotkey, and then it stopped reading the text. So as you can see on Windows, it's also reasonably easy to set up this functionality, but you do need to buy that additional program, or maybe you can find a program that does similar functionality for free online, but with my tests, I haven't found any that work reliably in Windows 10. They're designed for Windows XP or Windows 7, but none of them have been updated for Windows 10. Okay. So as we have just seen, it's actually very easy to set up text-to-speech on both Mac and Windows. On Windows, you do have to have an extra program that you need to install, a third-party program, but that's not too bad. And on the Mac, it's literally built directly into the system. So I hope as soon as possible you will set it up either for yourself if you are dyslexic, or if you have a dyslexic child, for your child on their laptop and on their phone, because the faster they start to use this technology and the faster they get used to listen to the written text, the more adept they will become at it. And pretty soon all of their problems with school and with learning will pretty much go away. Because again, dyslexia is not a learning disability. It's a reading, writing, arithmetic disability. And I hope that this video helps you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or leave comments below. And please share it with anybody else you might know who might be dyslexic. Have a great day.